Hello and welcome to the Missouri Small Business Development Center State of the Missouri SBDC webinar. I'm Greg Tucker, a 20-year veteran of the Missouri SBDC, and I've had the pleasure of serving as the state director for the past 4.5 years. I'm also the education director of the University of Missouri Extension's Business Development Programs. Almost a year ago to the day, we moved home to work remotely to flatten the curve. Over the next few weeks, our network pulled together as a team to develop a different business model for the SBDC, as we like to say in the industry, as COVID hit. So over the next few weeks, we adjusted to start meeting daily with network calls Monday through Saturday to learn about new programs that the SBDC or the SBA, Small Business Administration, was rolling out at a rapid pace. We met to answer questions and learn from each other and from our partners at the Small Business Administration over this busy time. And we, again, restructured our business model to accept the increased demand of clients. We learned terms like PPP and EIDL, programs that we'd never heard of a few weeks before. As we pulled together, we met daily, again, to learn from each other and to answer each other's questions, and then began to form partnerships across the state to share our knowledge and information. Many of those partnerships that we further financed through our CARES funding, and those partners are still rolling today. We'll talk a little bit more about partnerships in a bit. The strength of our network allowed us to bring on those partners, and we had virtual social gatherings, and yes, we even went through some times with the Tiger King. So as we talk today, we're going to talk about some of our best practices. We're going to talk about our results, our return on our investment, our data, goals, plans for the future, and sharing resources, as well as National SBDC Day. So while today we're going to talk about some success stories and some good news, we also want to take a moment and ask that everyone remember those businesses that did not make it through the pandemic. Our team went through some very difficult times, especially early on, as some of those businesses simply did not make it. We're here if those entrepreneurs and those business owners do decide to come back, but we do want to consider those and to remind everyone that the impacts of this pandemic are far from over, and the Missouri SBDC is still here helping our small businesses. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mike Adams.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Mike Adams. I'm the statewide impact evaluation and process manager for the state. My main duties are data, but with that, I also am responsible to kind of be in touch with our culture and the pulse of the state with our centers and statewide in general. And so with that, I'm going to kind of go through who we are, what we do, and why we do it. Next slide. So who we are, we're the Missouri Small Business Development Centers. We are part of a national network. We serve all 114 counties in the state, plus St. Louis City. And again, we're part of that national network, and we collaborate with other networks across the country as well to kind of exchange ideas. But our main goal is to serve Missouri and all counties and the city of St. Louis. We are funded in part through the U.S. Small Business Administration. It's a good portion of our funding, but we get additional funding through University of Missouri Extension, which is our core host, our main host here in the state. But we also partner with universities, colleges, and EDCs and EDOs across the state, which is a little bit of a different model from other extension programs, where other extension programs will utilize county offices where you may have a livestock specialist and agronomist and whatever it may be, 4-H specialists in the same office. We partner with higher learning institutions, and that helps us leverage our funding because we are responsible for some match, and so that helps us greatly. Next. So these are our hosts across the state. As you can see, as I mentioned before, a lot of higher learning institutions. We've got Northwest Missouri State, we've got Missouri State, we've got SBT, SEMO, and this really helps us. And what that does too is that brings a lot more knowledge to our network, as far as they may be working with clients in a different capacity as far as, like an e-factory or an incubator, but they can bring that knowledge to our clients and we can get that further reach to those clients. So here's our vision, and this is very, very important to us. It's only, a few words long, but it took us a long time to write this. But through results-driven performance collaboration with clients, partners, and stakeholders, the SBDC will be the most respected program in the country. And this seems a little bit lofty, but we don't believe it is. Even right now, Sherry Noller, who's going to speak after me, she serves on a couple different boards for marketing and communications across the country through ASBDC, America's Small Business Development Centers. Greg mentors a state director right now. Sherry mentors an associate state director right now. I get contacted on a pretty regular basis from other states on how we've innovated, how we use and disseminate our data to kind of help tell our story. Sherry and I work very closely together to tell our story. And so we are getting that reach out there. We still got some challenges in getting out there even more, but we don't look at them as challenges. We look at them as opportunities. How can we make the whole program nationally better? And that's what we strive to do. And especially through this whole, through the pandemic, again, obviously with challenges, but we also looked at it as opportunities. And it even became how we innovated the way we did our program through these challenges and opportunities. It became known as the Missouri model, and other states looked at us to ask, how are you getting through this, and how are you helping your clients the best that you can? Next, please. So here are our values. Obviously, a culture of innovation is extremely important to us. We always want to be forward thinking. We want to be thought leaders. We don't want to just kind of do the same thing over and over again. We want to, okay, what can we do better? What can we do better? How can we innovate what we do? And how can we innovate how we help our clients? And we're always responsive to our client and stakeholders. That's a very big focus as well. What's a client focused services, verifiable results. We'll kind of look at that here in a second. We always want to make sure that we know how we're helping our clients, and then we can verify how we're helping our clients, and then we can tell that story on how we're helping our clients. And kind of going back to the first bullet point is committed to continuous improvement. Again, we don't kind of rest on our laurels. We're always looking to improve and get better. Collaboration is a big thing throughout the state. I may have an area of expertise, or I may not have an area of expertise, but somebody else does. And so I can refer that client to that person that has the area of expertise that they're looking for. Always, being ethical and respectful to all, those are no-brainers. I mean, that should be part of everything that we do. Next slide, please. So what we do, in essence, it goes a little bit more granular than this, but we do help Missouri owners make confident decisions. We want to make sure that it's personalized, that we know exactly what they're looking for. Sometimes they come to us and they don't know what they're looking for, but we can help them kind of identify those problems that they have at that point, and we can help them move forward from there. We serve for-profit businesses and startups, up to 500 employees for the most part. There's a couple other industries. But a big thing we do is we do help with business planning, financials, and identifying their customer market, and QuickBooks, especially, through the pandemic, one thing we found that a lot of folks didn't have their financials quite in the order that they needed them to be. And so that's become a pretty big focus, and that's what we get a lot of requests for. So we do provide one-on-one assistance, but we also provide training events, which are a little more broad. And those can be very targeted to certain things like financials or cash flow management or business planning, things of that nature. And we do have more specialized services and technology. international trade, exporting, agribusiness, which is Missouri's biggest economy. So that's fine. Next slide. So this is why a lot of our clients come to us. Financial and capital, like I mentioned before, through the pandemic, this has become more top of mind for our clients. Understanding that they need to have their finances in order rather than maybe having receipts in a shoebox under the bed. But so more of like a QuickBooks type model. Another thing that we really helped a lot of clients with was pivoting and adopting their business model, whether it be restaurants going more to curbside service and delivery, or whether it be helping clients get more into e-commerce, things of that nature. Cash flow management also became a big thing during the pandemic. Accounting and budgeting has always been something that we've helped a lot of clients with over the years, especially growing clients, as well as marketing, sales, succession planning, and then you'll see kind of our 4 specialized services in tech, exporting, and growth. Next slide. So as I mentioned, we do have 4 specialized services that we focused on over the last couple of years that we really targeted as these are clients that we can really help, technology and innovation. And these are companies that are usually in the development stage. And then once they are in business, we can help them more on the business side of things. So at first, we may help them with SBIR grants, which are development grants. And then once they go to market, or we help them go to market, and then once they go to market, we can help them in their growth after that. Our growth services, these are second stage clients. These are in-business clients with 10 to 99 employees and over $750,000 in revenue. These are the clients that we get most of our impact from. When I say impact, I mean economic impact, because they are in business. They're very likely to be able to get capital funding, loans and equity and things of that nature. And they're also the ones that are going to be hiring employees. So we get jobs created impacts from that as well. So we help them with their growth strategies as they're going along, and kind of hopefully get them through those growing pains that I think most of us have experienced in growing companies. International trade is our exporting piece of this. And this is new market strategies. What kind of certifications do I need? What are the regulations? Do I need to, what kind of paperwork do I need to make sure that I can get into this market, knowing what markets may fit them best. And then our agriculture, which again is the biggest economy in Missouri. And this focuses a lot on the value added. We've done a lot of stuff with food production and meat processors over the last few months. Next slide. So one thing that we really focus on is our data. It's very important to us. We use it to make decisions internally. It's very important to us to help tell our story to stakeholders such as yourself. And these are the ways that we use it. And you can see there are a lot of different ways. And I'll admit, when I first wrote this slide several months ago, this is my responsibility. This is my job. But when I first wrote this slide, even I was overwhelmed on how much, because I do it every day, but I just didn't put pen to paper on it, And so when I actually put it on paper, it kind of overwhelmed me that this is how much we use our data. So we just kind of wanted to show that, everything that we do is verifiable. We do use it. All of our counselors have a responsibility to reach out to their clients to collect the economic impact that we help them create. And so this is a very important part of what we do. We just kind of want to show you. I'm not going to go through all of them. There's a lot here, but you can kind of see what they are. So kind of going along that data side of things, another thing that we do to kind of help tell our story, and actually we use internally as well, is we do our ROI, return on investment, for the previous 3 fiscal years. And so on this slide, you can see it's 2018 to 2020. Another way that we leverage our reach across the state is we do partner with the Missouri Procurement Technical Assistance Centers, they primarily focus on government contracting, whether it's federal, state, or local, and the Mid-America Trade Adjustment Assistance Centers, which they help manufacturing companies that have been affected by foreign imports. And they all fall under the umbrella of our Missouri Business Development Program at MU Extension. And so what we do is we take the funding that all 3 programs got during those 3 years, and then we put that side by side with what kind of economic impact we all 3 generated over those 3 years. And so you can see on the left side, the funding that we got from federal, state, and local, and then the economic impact on the right side. And so we do the calculation, and for every $153 of economic impact per $1 invested. So every dollar invested, federal, state, and local, we generated $153 of economic impact. And with that, for every $205 funded, we created or retained 1 job in the state of Missouri. And so these are numbers that we're very proud of. And we really like to disseminate this as well and let people know that we are being impactful across the state of Missouri and all 114 counties in the city of St. Louis. So. And with that, I would like to turn it over to Sherry Nolan.
Thank you very much, Mike. Good morning, everyone. My name is Sherry Nolan. I am the Associate State Director for the Missouri SBDC and the Marketing Communications Director. I just want to thank Mike real quick for giving us a brief overview. We know that many that are with us today work with us on a regular basis or have referred folks to the SBDC, but we felt as though it was a great opportunity with everything going on that we provide a brief overview for those that may not be as familiar with the Missouri SBDC and what all we do. So in this section of our presentation, I'm going to talk about 2020. Everyone has feelings and thoughts towards that. But, we wanted to share with you what went on last year within the Missouri SBDC. And the first thing I want to start out by saying is in 2020, our fiscal year started October 1st of 2019. And so when the end of March hit last year, we were 6 months into our budget and reporting year. And we were on track, actually ahead of track on many of our SBA provided goals and doing a lot of really great things. Our team was looking for ways to improve processes. At their center level, we were looking at opportunities at the state level to improve processes, make things more efficient, and support our network. And we had been doing a really great job of getting all of our specialized services that Mike had mentioned up and going. We have had a very strong tech and innovation program since the early 2000s. And as part of our strategic planning process, identified those 3 other specialized service areas that Mike mentioned, which was agribusiness, international trade, and growth services. And just before March of 2020, we had folks in leadership roles in all of those specialized services that were building strategic plans and implementing projects and services across the state. And then we all know what happened about a year ago, and that drastically changed what we were focused on, at least in the short term. And I wanted to share with you just some of the responses that we had across the network to the pandemic and to the impact that it had on how we worked and how we worked with our clients. Greg already mentioned early on about some of the adjustments and changes that we had to make within our network and things that we did to try to keep everyone close and well communicated with as there were things changing, sometimes on the daily, those daily calls that Greg mentioned early on. We would have those calls in the morning, and within a few hours, there would already be changes. And so those daily calls and our internal collaboration and communication tool really helped keep us in the know and connected throughout the network. So the first bullet point here is our increased communication. We responded very quickly in helping to keep our network up in the know of what was going on, and our team out in the field at our various centers worked very hard with many of you to help pass along that information, whether it was through webinars, sharing the information with partners and clients, or through sharing emails about what we're hearing, what's going on, what's the latest and greatest that has maybe changed since our last conversation. So for us in 2020, we were already on track. We were making some great headway in having more webinars and web-based trainings. Late March, early April of last year, our entire team responded very promptly and quickly to ensure that they were able to use Zoom, Microsoft Teams, or other video web conferencing tools to be able to share information as quickly as possible with our clients and with our partners. So we increased our communication both internally and externally, and we're ended up being in the position of a go-to resource for many partners, clients, and others across the state when they were looking for more information about the federal programs that were coming out, as well as just what folks were trying to figure out what to do. So, our team was the catalyst of that, and our team across the state were the folks that were driving that, and were helping to get that information out all across in every corner. Remote work, just as I'm sure many of you experienced, our entire network, at least for a period of time, also experienced the requirement of remote work, regardless of what host they were at, or depending upon the host or the organization, they maybe didn't work remotely, but they were no longer able to see clients in person. No one was allowed in office buildings and things along those lines. So, that was a drastic change that we all had to get used to. And really the remote work situation that our team was put in did not inhibit our service to clients at all. It actually, with the vast amount of people who were reaching out to our centers and to their business counselors, whether it be through referral or finding our website, our team answered that call and was very effective and efficient in responding to client requests for services. They were offering, like I had mentioned, those webinars on a regular basis. And so they were doing their best to try to help folks get connected to those events, whether they were hosting it or whether it was being hosted by another center across the state, to help connect them with the information as quickly as possible. We were adapting our processes and our way that we would reach out to clients. We do have a CRM system where we track all of our client data and client intake, and our centers across the state were utilizing that system and the electronic ways to sign up for services, the email communication opportunities through that as well, to push information out to clients so that they had it in a very timely manner. And they were also able to receive those client intake requests in a very timely manner as well, which alleviated some of the leaving a phone message or getting an email and that email getting buried. So our adapting our processes and outreach helped us to remain efficient and very effective in reaching out to our clients all throughout the pandemic. And this is a best practice that we continue on. We of course are still seeing folks impacted and folks reaching out about federal programs, but we are also seeing folks that are reaching out in these manners as well for general services related to their business or their startup idea. Of course, the pandemic did bring increased visibility to the Missouri Small Business Development Centers across the state. As I mentioned, we became a go-to resource, which was a great opportunity for us to continue to share the message of how we help business owners make confident decisions, the resources that we have available, and also gave us that opportunity to be sharing the most up-to-date information that we had at the time that we, were maybe asked to do an interview or asked to provide some information. Our client intake best practices, which I mentioned, in addition to our centers taking in clients, we also set up a business disruption center as a central point for partners and stakeholders to refer folks to. And we were also getting those referrals via our website. So that way we had multiple different opportunities for clients or those seeking our assistance to reach out to us. And then through our team, that team that you see here on this call, and our team out in the network, we were able to promptly and effectively respond to their needs. As a result of the pandemic, we did receive CARES funding from the bill that was signed in late March by the president, which allowed us to expand our services through partnerships. The map that you see on the screen right now shows our core centers, which are the numbers and the circles. So these are our core funded SBDC centers that have been in existence prior to the pandemic. And in addition to that, on this map, you will also see some blue stars. And those blue stars represent some of our partners through economic development organizations across the state, where we were able to expand and extend our services. Now, these are just some of the organizations that we partnered with. Greg is going to mention later on and talk about some of the other opportunities we had to expand our services through contracting with individuals and other organizations. I wanted to share with you briefly some data to let you know about, again, what we are doing within the Missouri SBDC. Here on this slide, we have our fiscal year 20 CARES data, and this specifically is targeted towards our CARES activity, which is tracked separately from our core SBDC grant. So the period that we are reporting on here is from April 2020 to December 2020. Our approved pandemic-related dollars, and that number is as of Monday, was over $84 million. Our impact and the data that we collect is client verified. And so this information is based upon clients that have reported to us that they did receive an EIDL loan, a PPP, or other county or city or state funds because of the pandemic. And then our small businesses or individuals served during that period of time was almost 6,900. And then one other quick stat was from March 16th of 2020 to September 20th of 2020, on average, our online client intake system was receiving 26 requests for services a day, and that was throughout our entire network. All of our centers, all of that was aggregated up. So we would receive 26 requests on average per day for services. And this did not include phone calls or email communication. This was just the folks that were registering through our online client intake system. And lastly, I just wanted to share our fiscal year 20 SBA goals. So for those that are maybe unfamiliar with the SBDC program when it comes to our goals and how we are tracked, each year we are provided goals by the SBA, and then our network takes those goals and works on those to achieve success and to meet or exceed those goals every year. In fiscal year 20, the information you see here is our core SBDC activity and our not CARES activity. As I mentioned the slide before, those are being tracked separately. Our business starts, we exceeded our goal to a percentage of 106%. Capitalization was at 238% of our goal. Unique clients served was 144% of goal, and jobs supported, which is jobs that small business owners created new to their business or retained within their business. We helped support businesses that were able to create or retain over 54,000 jobs, which was 369% of our goal. And again, this is a very important point that we take pride in, is that the data that we share is verified by clients. And so the information that you see is a client stating that due to or through the help of the Missouri SBDC, they had been able to accomplish, and it may be receiving a loan, starting a business, and a few other items that we track. So with that, we're going to move on to sharing some fun information, some great things that are happening that we plan for in 2021. And with that, I am going to hand it over to Lynette Watson.
Thank you, Sherry. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. My name again is Lynette Watson. I am the Regional Director of the St. Louis region, and I am the new director of the newly formed Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Initiative with the SBDC. Really want to talk very quickly about who we are, number one, and what our plans are for diversity, equity, and inclusion in the Missouri SBDC. I'm very proud that we are one of few SBDCs that have focused on this initiative. How we have begun is we have put together a committee. The committee was recently formed, and we had our first meeting to get acquainted and discuss our individual perspectives on DEI last month. So again, this is a very new initiative. I started my role in January. We have also done some training. We participated and we presented in our annual conference in January. And at that training, we really focused on unconscious bias, and all of the staff took the Harvard unconscious bias test on racism. So it was really eye-opening, and the discussion was very good. And we all started to understand how important diversity, equity, and inclusion is to our program. Just recently and currently, we're still attending the leadership of the DEI committee. Leadership is currently participating in a training seminar, a three-parter called Inclusive Leadership. And there we are learning about diversity and inclusion, cultural responsiveness, and race and equity. And that's very important because none of us really come, except for a few of us, really come from the background of working with diversity, equity, and inclusion. So we are learning as we go, and it's been very enlightening for all of us. And then lastly, we are working on our upcoming plans, which includes, first of all, we have to assess and really understand where we are as it relates to diversity, equity, and inclusion. And then from that, we are going to start to work on creating our strategic plan. Again, this is a very new initiative, very exciting. We have been received very warmly, very openly. Sometimes this is a tough thing to discuss, but we have again been met with open arms for both leadership as well as all of the host institutions. So we are really excited to see what can come out of this and where we go from here. So we hope to, when we meet again, we hope to be able to report on how far we've come and what we've learned. Thank you very much. That's all I have. So I am going to turn it over to Jennifer Pressberry.
Good afternoon. I'm Jennifer Pressberry. I'm a project coordinator with the Missouri SBDC and supporting the team. I want to highlight a project the Missouri SBDC will be working on in 2021. As many families, individuals, and businesses experienced, COVID-19 created a lot of uncertainty and burden for childcare providers. Understanding the tremendous importance of the industry, the Missouri Department of Social Services and Governor's Office designated funds and resources for Missouri providers, including the virtual childcare grant that was announced in late December. As part of that initiative, the Missouri SBDC will partner with the Department of Social Services to strengthen providers' business skills through curating and delivering industry-specific business training, providing one-on-one business counseling as well as technical assistance. We're excited to move forward with this opportunity. There's a lot that's still in the works, so be on the lookout for additional information in the weeks to come. And with that, I will hand it over to Greg.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer. So hopefully everyone has heard throughout this entire presentation today a lot about collaboration, a lot about partnerships, and a lot about teamwork. One of the strategic decisions we made even before the pandemic was to better scale SBDC efforts through technology and through collaboration and partnerships. Well, while we were already on track to do that, COVID sort of accelerated everything. So as our CARES funds came in to expand the SBDC program to meet the demand, we made the strategic decision not to hire any employees for the SBDC, but to use those funds to leverage our efforts through existing organizations, many of whom do a lot of the same things we do. They just had never, have to do the SBDC data keeping or formed a specific partnership with the SBDC. So at the beginning of this, and as we talk about our partnerships, I want to step back a minute and focus on those initial 15 partners. So we talk about our expansion through partnerships, but many of our partner institutions that you see on your left of the map with the numbers have been host institutions, some for 30 going on 40 years. So we've had this stalwart of partners over the years. And those of you know, the SBDC network is built on partnerships by design. So as we think about those great partners that we've had for many, many years, we supplemented their efforts with these new partners, many of whom that we're working to build partnerships ongoing to help diversify our funding streams and diversify our services and allow us to get into areas that we have not been able to effectively serve in the past. So in last March, we began this process with 15 partners. All of those partners, well, we had one new host on the Hannibal Regional Economic Development Council had just come on board. But to supplement all of our existing partners, we then worked to bring on additional 16 partners. Now, and this doesn't include independent contract consultants and some internal partnerships we made with some of our host institutions. But we brought in 16 additional partnerships through cities and chambers of commerce and economic development councils, regional planning commissions. We worked to really expand our efforts by leveraging those dollars through partnerships that helped us increase what we do and bring a lot of others into the fold. So this turned out to be, again, a good strategic move because, as you can imagine, if you look, many of our host institutions are institutions of higher education and community colleges. Many of those were the hardest hit during the pandemic. Therefore, many went on hiring freezes. So we could not expand through our normal channels of hosts. So I want to thank all of the new partners that came on, those that we're working to keep even beyond the end of our current grant to form these long-lasting partnerships. But hopefully through this entire talk, you're going to hear about our collaboration and how we leverage our dollars and we leverage our resources to serve every nook and cranny in Missouri through these partnerships. So with that, I will now turn it over to Wyvetta Hamilton.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Wyvetta Hamilton, and I am the Business Support Specialist for the Missouri SBDC. What we wanted to do today, we wanted to bring some reports and resources to your attention. This is not everything that we have available, but these are a few that we feel like that you could definitely get some benefit from. The first report that we'd like to bring to you is the Missouri SBDC 2020 Annual Report. This is a report that we created that shows accomplishments and impacts and client stories for the Missouri SBDC. And then the second report is the SBDC Annual Report. Now, the SBDC Annual Report is a national report that is given to the America's SBDC. The link that is provided here just goes to the Missouri portion and shows SBA initiatives and how the Missouri SBDC is incorporating those. The three resources that we have on here, four resources that we have on here now, are the Missouri SBDC COVID business resource page. And this is actually, you can find this on, if you go to MissouriSBDC.org on our website. And this page was created back March, April to help with all of the resources that were coming through for COVID, to help all of the businesses that are out there and give them somewhere to go to be able to find information. Another thing that has been created is we've got creating a legacy guide. This is regarding succession planning. So this is helping the businesses that are needing to, either they're wanting to sell their business or they're wanting to retire and then wanting to go on. And trying to be able to keep their business going after they leave. The other thing we want to mention is the Business Resiliency Guide. This is, the guide is a tool for small businesses to help create a plan to assess risk and make contingency plans to help with recovery from disruptions and things like of those nature. The last thing that we want to mention is the client stories. These client stories, they help show how we are helping those businesses in Missouri. So we encourage you to click on these links whenever you get this and to go in, look at these and to see what good things that the SBDC is doing. So back to Sherry.
Wonderful. Thank you, Yvetta. And to add on to what Yvetta was saying, the Missouri SBDC, we have heard many times, and some, from some of our partners here and from clients, that we are the best kept secret. And in the state when it comes to businesses, and that unfortunately is not where we want to be. We want everyone to know about our services, whether that be training events or our one-on-one counseling and coaching. And so I just want to take a moment real quick to thank you all for attending today, to allow us that opportunity to share with you what we are doing and to share with you what the team across the state is doing. And with that, I'm going to take just a moment to share with you about an event that is taking place next week. This is the 5th annual SBDC Day that will be taking place next Wednesday, March 17th. SBDC Day was created as a national proclamation to share the impacts of America's small business development centers on the success of our nation's small businesses. And although we don't share, but we don't always, step up in front of and say, hey, look at us, this is what we've done. Because really within the SBDC, the success is that of the business owners. We are here to provide education and to provide access to resources, but it's ultimately up to that small business owner to make the choice to act on the information that they've received, or to take that information and put it into practice within their business. And so, the successes that we share and the numbers that we shared already earlier are the successes of the small businesses that our team across the state helps. And we get to play a small part in that. And we're asking for you to come and help support us next Wednesday as an opportunity to share the great things that the Missouri SBDC is doing. There is a lot happening on social media due to our current situations. A lot of our centers, or most of our centers, are unable to have in-person events or making the choice not to have in-person events. And so we are trying to have a loud celebration on social media. So we ask that you follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or LinkedIn. And we would appreciate if you have anything to add, to comment on any of our posts, or to make a post of your own sharing about the impact the SBDC has had in your communities. And we'd love for you to tag the center that serves your area, but you can also tag the statewide SBDC pages with the @Missouri SBDC. And we ask that you use hashtag SBDC Day. The first 3 years of SBDC Day, we trended in the top 10 hashtags on Twitter. Last year was a little bit different, but we would love to be able to help spread the word of what our network, as well as the other networks across the country and in the US territories are doing as well to help small businesses. And before I hand it over to Greg, I do also want to say here on this presentation today, we do have many of our team members across the state. And for those of our partners and stakeholders that are with us today, I just want to let you know that the team that you see here that has been presenting, we have statewide responsibilities to help manage the program and help provide resources to our team. But it's our team that is out there at your organizations and institutions that are making the great impact on our businesses. They are helpers. They are people that care deeply about what it is that they're doing and the impacts that they can have on small businesses. And our team has done so much this year, working from home, hearing so much about the trials and tribulations that small businesses are having, not being able to, in many cases, have that separation between their office at work and their office at home. And they have heard and have felt and cried with clients over this last year, especially. And they take this mission on wholeheartedly and live it every single day to help your communities, to help our state, and to help our small businesses. And for those that are a part of our team that are with us today, I just want to let you know that we thank you so much for everything that you've done and really appreciate all of your hard work. With that, I'm going to hand it back over to Greg to close us out.
Okay, thank you, Sherry. And again, if anyone listening to this or watching this later is interested in partnering with the SBDC, or if you need our assistance or you have any suggestions or input for the Missouri Small Business Development Centers, we'd love to hear from you. As you've heard throughout the webinar, our email or our website is MissouriSBDC.org. And then if you want to follow up with Sherry or I, my email address is tuckergd@missouri.edu, and Sherry is noller-s@mssu.edu. So thank you again for your time today, and we appreciate all of the support and guidance that you've given us. Thanks very much.